them a shot to do what?
All right, super fun pod today. I got the Undisputed Champ Pryor with me today, filling in for Bert. We're going to talk a little WNBA action. We're going to do a little NFL talk with training camp opening up. And then also so just some questions from random stuff about sports and more forced Jalen Hurts hate from me. All that and more next. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports. I am the Facebook felon germ. Bert is not here. He'll be back with us shortly, but I have my man Champ Pryor here with us today. And yeah, this is Stuff About Sports, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Champ, by the haters. Hey, shout out to y'all. Shout out to the first timers, last timers, YouTube viewership, podcast listenership, social media ship. Y'all been going crazy over this Jalen Hurts stuff, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I think I've addressed that enough. As I said in the open, I got Champ Pryor with me. What's up, man?
How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. I appreciate you. It's been a long time coming. We've been following each other for a while on social media. I'm glad to have you on the show finally. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people? Because nobody can promote you like you. So I want you to promote yourself and your show and where people can find you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. It's a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to be here. Number one, thank you for inviting me. When, like we say down south, when you invited to the house, show courtesy. But I digress. Hey, my name is the Undisputed World Champ, man. I am from the Undisputed GOAT podcast and from the Sports PSP podcast. Shout out to Sports PSP, man. That's the first guy who ever put me on a podcast. So, hey, man, big shout out to him, man. He had 120K right about now on YouTube. He doing this thing. And my guy, shout out to Flash and BRL Sports, man, from the Undisputed GOAT podcast. Hey, we're going to continue to do our thing there. You can find me on TikTok, Undisputed World Champ. We are now at 22,000 followers on there. Now, hopefully that app stays on, but you can rest assured I will be doing my thing if they switch over to the American app as well. As far as being here right now, man, I never forget the first video that I tuned into was about Cam Newton and the weapons that he had in North Carolina. That was the first video I commented on you guys about. That, I mean, y'all went in on Cam about that one. That was a cool one, man. That was the first video. That's how I discovered you guys. Y'all been doing a hell of a job too, man. I got to salute y'all, man. That's like I might give everybody the salute when I go on the podcast, man.
Hey, man. Hey, that's love. Shout out to Sports PSP. He was on the show with us one time before. I think I scared him off because I said that Andrew Luck was the greatest bust in NFL history, and he did not like my explanation. But maybe we'll get him back, and maybe we'll get him onto my side one of these days. But shout out to him. Shout out to everybody else. Yeah, that's good stuff. Please follow my guy. I'm going to have his IG. If you came from us from Instagram, you'll see it. But then on the description on YouTube, I'll make sure I put it all up in there. All right, let's get to the getting. First thing, let's knock out the WNBA stuff, because I've seen you guys do some WNBA content. But the big story coming out of All-Star Weekend, whether I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the WNBA players decided to wear in unison a pay us what you owe us shirt before the All-Star game. And then Kelsey Plum, for some reason, tried to throw a monkey wrench in like the unity. I don't know, somewhere. She's been doing a lot of weird stuff lately. It's kind of making me feel like Darren Waller really might have been onto something with this chick, man. Something's a little off with her. But what do you think of the pay us what you owe us movement for the WNBA?
Well, number one, I said this on another pod. You got to show unity. If they think you are one step apart, now people blew that out of proportion because everybody knew what Caitlin Clark and her team was. They was hanging out with Courtney Williams and Teaspoon the night before, and they was out there getting lit up. You know, Mario, and they wasn't there the morning before. So I think that was kind of blown up the way it shouldn't have been. But at the same time, there's certain stuff you need to say, and there's a time and place for everything. So, you know, you don't bring that up in a press conference after you just showed unity. That's kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face, if you really want me to be honest with you. Yeah. But as far as the W asking for more money, the thing is this: I don't think people understand how restricted there are as ball players. I don't think people understand how restricted they are. I'm getting my notes right here. As there's 4 rules in the current collective bargaining agreement that hold them back. They are banned from overseas play and finishing their season. So if they're in the middle of the season and they have to be back by April. They have to be back by April. Otherwise, they risk getting fired. They have endorsement limitations. So anything that conflicts with WNBA sponsors, they can't sponsor. Like if the WNBA does Yo Play yogurt and I decide to do Greek yogurt and they want to endorse me, they can't do it. Versus NBA players, they have endorsements out the yin yang. Business restrictions, they cannot have any business involving basketball, involving sports media. They cannot have that. Brand control, they cannot fully monetize on their likeness or their footage or their brand. So it's more than just money. I think when people say pay us like you owe us, hey, I can live with making $75,000 a year as a ball player if I'm able to make my money off the court. Now, if you give me that 75K and I can make 15 million off the court, we straight. But the thing is, if you're taking away my money on the court and off the court, something's got to give. This is basketball. This is not a damn wrestling promotion. This is not Vern Gagne's promotion where I'm gonna take half of your Japan money, and then when you come back to the territory, I'm gonna take some more money from you as well. That's how come him and Hulk Hogan fell out. So the thing is, I don't mind them asking for more. I think it's a common misconception about these young women asking for just money. I want to control my own destiny. These NBA players and all these other players, they get to run their businesses. They get to capitalize on their likeness. They get to capitalize on major endorsements. Can you imagine how many major endorsements that Nafisa Correa has probably missed out on, that Asia Wilson has probably missed out on, that even, the face of the league, Caitlin Clark, has missed out on because of this collective bargaining agreement that's in place? So I don't think it's so much as people, those young women wanting money, much so as financial freedom. Like I said, if you give me 75,000, I'm cool with that. But I have the potential, especially right now in the social media days, right now, as you can see, the whole Courtney Williams teaspoon live stream, that got more attention than the orange carpet did. Everybody was on the internet talking about the W, talking about the stud buzz. Everybody was talking about that, including myself. Right. So if I can capitalize on that off the court, I don't mind playing for pride on the court. But if you're going to, for lack of a better terms, with no Vaseline on me every time you get a chance 3 ways from Sunday, then guess what? Of course, I'm going to come out and say, pay me like you owe me. I don't have control of my brand. I don't have control of my likeness. I can't subsidize my income overseas. I got to be back by a certain time. Otherwise, you're going to find me. And there's no leeway nowhere. So I think the common misconception is, oh, they're just asking for more money. They're asking for a hell of a lot more freedom than they have right about now. Like I said, can you imagine the NBA telling Michael Jordan, you can't go with Nike because our sponsor is Reebok? Can you imagine Magic Johnson being restricted? Magic Johnson didn't make all of his money on the court when he was playing. He made the majority of his money off the court. When he signed that 20-year, $20 million deal, his first year in endorsements, he made over $10 million off the court, and that was in the 80s. He had his own video game and everything. Can you imagine if they told Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, you can't make EA Sports games because our sponsor, Super Nintendo, doesn't allow that? There would never have been no Larry Bird versus Michael Jordan video game. So I think that it's a common misconception about these women just asking for money. I want more freedom within my contract. I want more freedom to do what I can off the court. I want more freedom to handle business ventures. I want more freedom to handle this. That's why you see certain players, they're all over the place when it comes to these endorsements. That's like if you see Kelsey Plum all over the place in endorsement, Angel Reese all over the place with endorsements, Asia Wilson all over the place with these endorsements, because guess what? I don't make that much money on the court, and guess what? I can't subsidize my income off the court. So I got to grab as much as I can while I still can. And the shelf life of a lot of these WNBA players sometimes is kind of short. We saw Deja Kelly. She was hot as a firecracker coming into the Las Vegas Aces, but she got cut during the off season. So the shelf life is kind of low. Plus, right now, I do emphasize right now, there's not a lot of roster spots. Remember, the Golden State Valkyrie, for as good as they cut both their first round picks this year. They cut both of them. So you got to be the cream of the crop if you want to play in the W.
It's funny, you bring up the Valkyries. When you expand the team, they only had to pay $250 million to have that team. Well, now the next crop of 3 teams that are coming in the next, 26, 28, 30, they're going to be paying $400 million, $600 million. So the Valkyries are lucky. They're very profitable. And I think the main problem with this whole thing is that a lot of people see the shirts and let's be honest, a lot of the WNBA fans that are out now are kind of just tuning in for Caitlin Clark. They don't understand what's happening and they see all this stuff. And when I saw it, I said, people thought they were talking to the fans. I'm like, why would they're talking to the WNBA. They're talking to the league owners. They're talking, the players want more money from them. Now, I think this is a situation, one of the rare situations where 2 things can be true at the same time. Both sides are right. Me and you have a day job. We go to work, we punch in, we get a paycheck every 2 weeks. But would you like to do the same job you're doing now, but for like $10,000 extra dollars, $20,000 extra dollars? Who doesn't want more money? I didn't understand the kind of pushback, like, oh, y'all should be happy with what you got, that you got a league, da 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 da. I'm like, no, who doesn't want more money? I do. Like, I would love more money. Like, if my job called me tomorrow and said, hey, Jeremy, you're doing a really good job. We're going to give you $20,000 extra dollars. What am I supposed to say? No, like, I don't want that. No, the players were right to ask for more money. Here's the problem. There's a difference between revenue and profit. Yes, the WNBA is bringing in more and more money. The problem is they're like $50 million in the red every year. Literally, they've never been profitable. The NBA basically owns 60%, or I shouldn't say owns, but they fund about 60% of the WNBA's operating cost. So if the league all of a sudden started jacking up salaries, then they really won't turn a profit, and the league can't operate. Because then the NBA eventually is going to be like, yo, we're not giving you 60% to run your league. And then you're giving, and yes, you can, like, a lot of upstarts work that way, right? The first couple of years of upstart companies, yeah, you're bringing in zero, but we can make enough to pay people. That's 2 separate different things. So this is how the WNBA players are getting paid now. But once you start getting these players who want X amount of dollars, and they don't want the NBA money. They want NBA gets 50% of the league revenue. Currently, I believe the WNBA is getting something. It's like a weird, like,
it's 9%.
It's like 9%, but they can get up to 25% if they hit a certain profit threshold, which they've never hit. So, like, whatever, if they get 9% outside of the weird language in that contract, which is what they're fighting for in this next collective bargaining agreement. But I don't have a problem with them asking for money, but also you have to understand that, okay, that also comes at a cost. Y'all going to go back to these commercial flights, or worse yet, buses. Y'all going to have to start scaling back on some of these luxuries that you fought so hard for. Which one do you want? And I think right now they see the boom of a mixture, and let's be honest, a majority of it is Caitlin Clark, whether you like her or not, plus some of the other young talent that is kind of piggybacking off of that, the ride, the exposure on ESPN, First Take having segments about the WNBA. All that's well and good. To me, that should have been part of the plan. Continue as usual. You will naturally grow from this. And maybe in the next collective bargaining agreement, then you ask for your 50% revenue split. But you can't ask for it if you haven't made any money yet. Like, like, you're going to sink your own ship that way. And I get that it's exciting now because this is the most success you ever had, but it's no different than, honestly, it's literally like we just had the NFL draft. A lot of these guys come from poverty, come from nothing. We just heard about this guy who, in the NBA draft, I'm sorry, not NFL, but he said, I had to, we ran our house on a generator, and now I get to go buy my mom a house. Like, that's what happens. You get, you come from nothing, or you come from very little, and all of a sudden you get this, like, this jump, this boost. And now you want to spend all the money. Now you want to go do these things you couldn't do before. And this is what the WNBA players are doing. They're seeing all this success. They're seeing money coming in. However, they're not realizing that, oh, wait, it's coming in, but we're working in a deficit. We're always working in a deficit. And I think whoever's in charge of negotiating on the players' behalf, on the Players Association side, needs to talk some of these star players down, because it's not a good look when you have your players outwardly, defiantly fighting for whatever you feel is equal pay without the understanding that you're not making the same. You're not getting the same revenue as the NBA. That's the difference. It's literally the difference, right? We had this issue with soccer, right? Men's and women's soccer during like 2 Olympics ago. The women make 13% of the revenue. The problem is they only made like $400 million. The men got 8%, but they made $600 billion. Like it's a lot. Like the women got a bigger percentage of the cake, but the men got less, but the men make so much more money. So it's not a fair apples to apples comparison when it comes to revenue splits between the NBA and the WNBA. And I think somebody who is smart enough and objective enough to get into these rooms with these women and explain that, they'll have an easier time, because again, as you know, optics are everything. Optics are everything. It looks bad when the league doesn't make any money, and now you have the women on there asking for more money, and that hurts the players' causes, whether it's just or not. I believe in everybody should get every dollar that they earn, and the women do earn it, and the league is more popular than it's ever been. However, they need to kind of reel it back in. A little too much dip on the chip now. Like, you got to be smart, because you want more money now, but you're not. Collective bargaining agreements aren't for you now. They're for the next generation. You need to fight for the next generation. And a lot of these players are young enough that they're going to eat off that, but it's very short-sighted the way they're going about negotiating, and they're not going to get their way if they continue on this path, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Well, the thing is this: I don't think they should have opted out the first year.
I don't either. Smart.
I don't think they should have opted out the first year. Especially this year, a lot of the star players that injury bug been biting, and it's been biting hard. It's been biting like a gnat in the Georgia summer. So it's been biting. Remember, Caitlin Clark got hurt. Asia Wilson, she was out for a few games. Angel Reese got hurt. Ariel Atkins got hurt. Nafisa Correa, she was out. You know, that injury bug has been biting. I remember Paige Becker, #1 overall pick, she got hurt. So you can't anticipate injuries and things like that. I know everybody thought that everything was just going to shoot up as usual. But if you really look at it, although ticket sales has been up 15%, the ratings has been down a little bit more as of this year. Now, granted, the skills challenge and everything else has been up. But if you look at the viewership from last year to this year for the All-Star game, then it went down significantly. But what it
That's because Caitlin Clark was out, though. Like, you saw that, and you reflected that in the ticket prices. Ticket prices went down half, and it got me in trouble on social media again. I said that Caitlin Clark is the only real superstar in the WNBA, not because I think she's the best player, because I don't. I'm saying in terms of impact and what she means to that league, nobody moves the needle more than she does. Asia Wilson is the best player. She's multiple-time MVP. She's on the best team, champion, but then why hasn't they grown to the level that Caitlin Clark has produced? There's levels to it. Like, Asia Wilson undoubtedly is a superstar within that bubble, within the league, and to people who actually follow WNBA. But I'm speaking for the casual mainstream viewer, which is where I reside, right? Like, I know some players, but I'm in it because Caitlin Clark had made me interested in it. And it's hard to ignore cultural impact, regardless of where that came from. We can argue about, it's only a certain demographic that's tuning in and blah, 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 blah. Who cares? People are watching. People are, you're supposed to be putting on. So I'm not a fan of the players taking cheap shots at her. I'm not a fan of Kelsey Plum talking shit about her every chance he gets. Like, and the funny thing is, I thought about this the other day when Kelsey Plum made that comment about Team Clark not being at the meeting or whatever, not wanting to wear the shirts or however she phrased it. I said, this is genius. Nothing fuels leagues better than rivalries. If she's trying to be the bad guy to Caitlin Clark because she knows how much people love Caitlin Clark, she's doing an excellent job. Part of me wanted it to be by design. Because there was things like she made the fan take off the Caitlin Clark jersey at the game.
Yeah.
Like it's little that. Like, and that's why
little subtle jabs.
Yeah, that's why when I heard the comments, I said she's doing it again. I'm like, she's got to be doing it on purpose, right? Like she's purposely positioning herself as the arch enemy veteran, because it's different with Angel Reese. They have the college thing that's different, but Angel Reese, for all is not on Caitlin Clark's level as a player. You know, you could talk about rebounds and you can do all this stuff. She's not the star player. She's a cultural pop, you know, TikTok, all that good stuff, social podcasting. She's a star, right? But she's not, in terms of basketball stars, she's not on the same level as Kelsey Plum or Caitlin Clark is. So I think Kelsey Plum is positioning herself as, I'm the vet. I was the Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark, and blah 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 blah, and I think she's doing that to drive interest, because she knows people are going to hate on the fact that she is seemingly hating on Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry I derailed that a little bit, but it just, when you mentioned it, it kind of made me think about what she did and how
she's in LA.
Yeah.
What better way to have a rivalry? You played football before, the city versus the country.
Oh yeah.
That's because that's what they call Indiana, the country. They call it nap time for a reason. A lot of guys call it nap time for a reason.
Yeah,
but I'm just gonna be. But the thing is, people give you a lot of flack on the internet, and I see it. But the thing is, people have to look at what Magic Johnson said. The definition of a superstar, where you could go on the road and sell out the arena.
Yeah,
that is the definition of a superstar. Now, granted, Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces, 4 years in a row, they sold out their home crowd. They sold it out. They were the first WNBA team to sell out their home games for the entire year for 4 years. This was, they was winning championships and doing everything of that nature. She is a cultural icon. But the thing is, you have to think about the masses when you think about a lot of things. When you think about the masses mean the casual fan. I'm a hardcore WNBA fan. I've been watching it for years. I remember when it was her and Elizabeth Cambridge was rocking. I remember Elizabeth Cambridge scored the most points in WNBA history in one game with Asia Wilson by her side. So I remember when that Las Vegas Aces team was loaded. I remember that they had Candace Parker, Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, Cambridge. I remember they had Sydney Colston. They had a little bit of everybody on that team. I mean, if you really look at these by NBA standards, if you really look at some of these rosters at the top of the league, a lot of these rosters, if you were to switch around, they would be considered super teams. Like if you switch it around and say, hey, look at the roster of the New York Liberty. You got you have 2 MVPs on that team, Jonquel Jones and Breonna Stewart. And you got one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. But the thing is, to your point, a superstar, you are defined when you can go on the road, whether they want to see you or they want to boo you. Where you can go on the road and sell out the arena. And like I said, I'm an Angel Reese fan, man. So the thing is, I had the shirt and everything with her and Flage when they was doing their thing back in college. But the thing is, as far as superstar, you have to put Caitlin Clark up there. And I'm an Angel Reese fan. Like I said, I always sing her praises. I remember when she won the Unrivaled Defensive Player of the Year. And this is where that's coming from, a lot of it. A lot of the players that's in charge of the Players Union is the founders of Unrivaled. Yes, they're the founders of Unrivaled. So all of those players got at minimum $250,000 in their first year of Unrivaled. And one of the players actually got hurt, and they covered her entire WNBA salary for the entire year. So the players for Unrivaled, since they got invested in by a lot of basketball players and a lot of the players in the WNBA, that's how they're coming to the table. By trying to get some of the same things of that. And Nafisa Collier, outside of being the best player in the league right about now, outside of Asia Wilson, she's in charge of the Players Union. Who's the founder of Unrivaled? Her and Breonna Stewart. But to your point, I wouldn't have opted out this year. Sometimes you have to let the ball roll, as we say down south. You got to let the ball roll. And when that snowball gets downhill, that's when you strike. I think it was a mistake this year because the thing is, you don't know how injuries are going to go. You don't know how ratings are going to go. Like I said, that injury bug bit, and it bit hard. I mean, 3 starters, Satu Sabally, Caitlin Clark, and another Jonquel Jones, who had her dramatic return tonight. They didn't even play in the All-Star game. Yeah. I mean, and Ryan Howard too. She didn't play in the All-Star game. So you can't predict how injuries are going to go especially when you're in a collective bargaining agreement. So you can't predict that. Not to mention, man, you got to think about this. You opt out your first year, you haven't made a profit, and you have nothing to really bring and say, hey, this is what's happening. Now, I want them to get paid, but at the same time, you're putting all of your eggs on this 1 year. You're putting all your eggs on 1 year. And as you know, a lot can happen in 1 year. But I will say this, regardless of what people are saying right now, they're going to get their money. Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you just like this. Right now, the W has an audience, and they take up the entire summer. Kids are out of school. They have games at noon to bring the kids in for camp days.
Yeah.
So they have that.
That's smart by the W.
Yes. So they're going to get their money. They're going to renegotiate because right now, look, they are looking. You have to be on the right side of sports history. You might not want to give them what they want, but you have no choice at this point because right now you're in the middle of like what I like to call peak seasons. What do I mean by that? The thing is this. You are at your peak right about now. Can you imagine what a work stoppage would do for you right about now?
Yeah.
So let's say a work stoppage happens. It extends to May. Then no deal. June, no deal. July, no deal. Now come 2026, you in August. Oh, shit. Now you got to compete with the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Not happening.
Okay, you have to compete with the NFL. Yeah. And I am a hardcore WNBA fan. I have 2 TVs stacked on top. I have one mounted on the wall and one right up on the dresser, and I'm able to watch games from there. But when it's time for that pigskin, every red-blooded American in the world is going to be watching that pigskin.
Yeah. Yep.
So guess what? You're going to lose a hell of a lot more than you're going to win if that collective bargaining agreement isn't done by next year, at least before the draft. Yeah. So they're going to get it done because the summer belongs to them. We all love baseball, but it's something about the W that brings you in. The physicality. They are everything that we want the NBA to be. We want the NBA to be physical. We want the heated rivals. We want y'all to have fun off the court. But when you come on this court, we want you to go out there and terrorize and torture somebody. Yeah. So we want that. You know, they criticize the ladies for that. But the thing is, we're asking the same thing out of the NBA player. Man, why aren't y'all physical? Why aren't y'all doing y'all thing? Why is it like the old days? When you ask the old heads, like my father, my uncles and stuff like that, this is the softest era. Okay, now we have that in the W. We got the physicality of the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. So you have that going for you. So you have no choice if you're the league but to get the deal done, because if it comes May and you don't have a deal and this stretches out until August, you're about to lose a hell of a lot of fans, because guess what? Pigskin, not even LeBron James,
nothing's bigger than football. Nothing.
On Christmas Day couldn't beat. The pigskin is so big that people will rather watch a sorry football game than to watch any other sport. They would rather watch, let's say, the Jacksonville Jaguars play anybody. Yeah. Play the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, some other bum team. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So that's what they gotta realize. You got your audience right now. It's kind of like the club. All right, you got your crowd in. Okay, what you gonna do to capitalize on it? So the league ain't got no choice if they want to succeed at this point. They got to give it to them. Otherwise, when they come next summer and your audience is not there, it's gonna lose a lot. And not every sport has the capacity in order to survive a strike. Look what happened with hockey.
Yeah,
the strike happened. It was never the same. Baseball, that strike happened, and it took the steroid era in order to bring it back.
Yeah.
The only
XFL didn't survive. XFL didn't even survive COVID. That's basically like a strike. Like, you can't take no years off, man. Like especially when you're in like a weird peak. Like, like you can't, you know. Stages. And listen, the WNBA has been around since '97, but again, we're talking about they've been treading water. When we're talking about physical, actual growth, like between last year and this year, this is it. This is kind of like the start for them. They've never seen this type of growth. Before we move on to football real quick, we talked about injuries and things like that. Do you think they should have expanded rosters before they expanded franchises. I'm from Philly. I'm happy that Philly's getting a team, so I can't really say because I'm biased. Like, fuck them rosters as long as Philly gets a team. Now, Philly wasn't one of them 3 teams, and I 100% would have said expand the roster, but Philly's getting a team finally. So, but do you think it would have been smart to expand the roster from 12 to, let's say, 15 or maybe 16, considering that, there's not many teams, not as many teams as the NBA. And like you said, with the rosters and, women have, the WNBA has a different problem than the NBA because the women can get pregnant. And like Caitlin Clark's boyfriend's under the most stress in the world because one missed stroke, he can end the WNBA season. And that's not good for anybody. That ain't good for nobody. So do you think they should have expanded rosters to compensate for like seemingly more injuries because they have less stars too, right? So like you need a bigger roster because like, these teams can get derailed real quick. And then obviously they have to deal with things like pregnancy and things like that. So do you think they should have expanded rosters instead of teams?
I think they should have done both, expand the roster and expand the teams, because guess what? You need a deep roster because injuries happen. Hell, Cameron Brink tore her ACL last year. She's just not getting back.
Yeah.
So you're going to need that deepness in order to get. And the thing is, what they don't tell you is when they bring in a player in order to, fill in for somebody injured, when that player gets back, that player gets the other player that they brought in, they get released.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks for them. They definitely need to look at expanding the rosters. All right. We spent a lot of time on that, but it's cool. It was a good conversation. Let's get to the NFL's biggest questions. Training camp opened up. I was really excited. We got some new drops. The Buffalo Bills, for some reason, finally brought back the red helmets, but they're wearing them for one game. I'll write them an angry letter later. Cleveland Browns dropped a pretty dope uniform. It took them this long to come up with the concept that they should have a brown helmet, but that uniform looks dope. The Chargers continue to have the best uniform set in football, and so shout out to them. I have the questions here. Of course, I lost them. All right, here we go. First question: better rookie coach season, Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson.
Ooh.
Look, Ben Johnson is a genius of an offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And look, you saw the difference when Jared Goff had an offensive-minded coach versus when he didn't. You saw the difference when he had Sean McVay versus when he didn't. When Ben Johnson came in, that shifted everything. He was to Jared Goff what my guy from the Georgia Bulldogs, Todd Monken, was to Lamar Jackson. He elevated them once again. And I think with those offensive weapons that he have, not to mention people talk about the quarterback, Caleb Williams, the main thing that you fix when you building a football team is that line. People talk about the quarterback position, but I will say as a former lineman myself, the most important position on that field is that line, because that running back can't run through no holes and your receivers can't get open because one thing, the quarterback can't throw on his back.
Yeah.
Quarterback can't throw on his back. And I've seen a lot of mediocre quarterbacks get through their careers and season and have magical seasons with a great offensive line. I have not seen a spectacular quarterback yet have a superb season with a lackluster offensive line other than Joe Burrow. And you see how he's on and off the field because of that line. And I know a little bit about offensive line falls because I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. Remember what happened to Steve Bartkowski? He said he spent half his career in a body cast because guess what? They couldn't protect it. But I got to say, Ben Johnson, I'm not really sure about this New York roster. I'm not really sure about Justin Fields as the quarterback. I mean, you have Aaron Glenn, who is a hell of a coach. But to be honest with you, that division belongs to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And you really don't know how, and you're hoping that everything turns out good in Miami when it comes to Tua, because it seems like you touch him wrong and he gonna ball up like an ant on you. Mm-hmm. So, but as far as that division belongs to Josh Allen. I think that Ben Johnson and that roster that he's built, they have a chance, because if you look at it, things are not really the same in the NFC North anymore. They're not really the same. You don't know what you're getting with J.J. McCarthy. You don't know. People was calling him a system quarterback coming out of Michigan.
Won a title, though. I mean,
on a title. but people was calling him a system quarterback coming out of Michigan. Because remember, they had a defense and a two-back combination that to die for.
Yeah.
So you don't know how they're going to be. You don't know how Jordan Love is going to do. He's a turnover machine at times. He makes careless mistakes at times. He'll throw you into a game and he'll throw you out of one. And you don't know the effects that's going to happen around the Detroit Lions and you taking away damn near their entire coaching staff. Think about this. Your offensive-minded coach left, Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Then your defensive coordinator, he leaves. Then your receivers coach leave. Antoine Randall, he left. And I know more than anybody about a shakeup on the offensive defensive side of the ball. Look what happened to Matt Ryan when Kyle Shanahan left. Yeah. Steve Sarkisian came in for that 1 year right after that. But after that, it was pretty much like really up and down for the offense. So I have to say Ben Johnson. And I think if anybody can get him and get Caleb Williams in gear, I think it will have to be Ben Johnson. And he can use him in a lot of different ways, just like he did with Jared Goff. I think that Caleb Williams, he can get him in a few places. And he came from an offensive-minded coach in Lincoln Riley, in the air raid system. So he is familiar with I think when you have an offensive-minded coach with a rookie like that, not to mention that line they just revamped, they can do big things. And people don't take this into consideration. About a year ago, Chicago was #1 against the run. So you have and Montez Sweat, shout out to PFP once again, because my Atlanta Falcons tried to trade for Montez Sweat before Chicago swept them from right up under our noses. So Montez Sweat and that defense that they have, given what they can do in that roster, it's no joke. So I think that Ben Johnson definitely have a chance to at least make the playoff this year. I can't say the same thing about Aaron Glenn because that division belongs to Buffalo at this point. I mean, they reign, and you don't know how far along that Mike Vrabel is going to bring this team as far as the New England Patriots goes with Drake May. You don't know, and you have Tua. I don't know how they're going to use Justin Fields. Justin Fields hasn't really shown me anything. Granted, he's from my home state. He's from Atlanta, Georgia. Was a Georgia Bulldog before he went to Ohio State. But I don't necessarily – there's a reason why he got benched last year in favor of Russell Wilson. I just don't know how he's going to react towards this, being on the big stage and being the guy for the first time since Chicago, where they're not going to be running any offense, because in Pittsburgh, they kind of matched them a little bit. Arthur Smith kind of matched them a little bit. He was putting them in situational ball where, you dick and dunk here, you dick and dunk there, and then, you do just enough for us to win. I don't think Aaron Glenn and this coaching staff is going to do that with him and baby him. I think they're going to throw him out there and say, hey, we just paid you. You got to go win.
I'm not going to value success over winning the division. I think that's highly unrealistic to ask of a rookie head coach. I think that Aaron Glenn will have an easier time because there's less pressure for the reasons you said. They're not going to win the division, so he will have less pressure to perform. Ben Johnson's going to have a former #1 pick that everybody liked, and not me though. I've said it, but from the beginning, I said, "Hey, Caleb Williams. The only thing he's good at is crying in his mom's arms because he can't play football. He forgets to play football." I said Chicago better draft Jaden Daniels, and they went with Caleb Williams. And his rookie season went terrible. You can blame the offensive line. There's plenty of great quarterbacks who have bad offensive lines and somehow make it work. Caleb Williams did not look good. There's nothing about Caleb Williams when I watch him play football that I say he's really good. I just wish he had a better offensive line. No, he looks like he would just be average, even if he had a good offensive line. Nothing about him seemed like if you're that dude, you'll make it work. He made nothing work. He was terrible. So listen, he was a rookie. I have a 3-year sample size rule. But based on what I've seen, Ben Johnson ain't going to fix Caleb Williams. And also, I'm going to trust a former coach or a former player who's been a coach, a successful coach. And the Lions last year had 21 players on injured reserve. 16 of them were on defense. And he somehow overcame that, and the team was still successful. Give me that guy. And what are the Jets known for? Even though they were bad, what did they always have good? Good defense, because they had good personnel. What do you got? You got a defensive coach. So that team is not going to be relying on Justin Fields. Justin Fields is just there to see if they can salvage whatever talent he has, because I think people still acknowledge he has the tools. Aaron Glenn is going to fix that. He's not going to have the pressure that Ben Johnson, because the offensive coordinator always gets the pressure because the offense is the shiny thing that everybody pays attention to. So if the Chicago Bears aren't an instant success, Ben Johnson's going to have a tough time. Aaron Glenn's going to be coasting. And little do you know, by the end of the season, we're going to say, you know what? The Jets, just like kind of like the Lions when they hired Dan Campbell. I said it. Me and Bert said it on the show. Lions fans, Detroit fans, give them 3 years. You need a year to assess what you have. Then you need a year to clean it up and get your guys in, and then a year to instill your stuff. After year 3, the Lions will be good. And literally, according to plan, now they're a contender. If you want somebody to emulate that as close as possible, Aaron Glenn is the guy to do it. He was closest to Dan Campbell. He was closer than Ben Johnson was. He's as close to Dan Campbell, not in terms of friendship, but in terms of coaching style, to Dan Campbell. And they already have a good head start because the personnel is almost in place for them to do it. So I predict the Jets will be who the Jets are, but they're going to have a really good defense. And they're going to, as long as you can say, if you remember, the Lions had like 3 wins the first year, but there were a lot of those wins were like 3-point losses. Like it was a lot of those because he was still figuring it out. I feel like the Jets are going to be on that kind of time, and we'll see what happens, because I'm very excited. But yeah, Aaron Glenn, I like guys like that. I like player coaches. I like the guys who hold people accountable. And Aaron Rodgers just told a story where basically he flew. Aaron Glenn had him fly across the country to sit him in an office and tell him to fuck off, which is great. Like, hey, we're not picking you, bud. Sorry. How you want it done? Like, sorry, we're not negotiating here. Like, you're not here. You want us to say we cut you. You want to leave on your own. You want us to like whatever you want it, but you ain't my guy. And that's the energy I like. Ben Johnson seems like to whom it may concern type email guy. He seems like one of those. Next one, give me the most overrated teams, one in the NFC and one in the AFC.
One in the AFC. Let me see. Got to go with Miami.
Yeah.
You got, and I think Mike McDaniel is a very, very overrated coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's a poor man's Michael Shanahan. Well, I won't even say he's a pro man. He's a broke man's Mike Shanahan.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle Shanahan, excuse me. The thing is, what I don't get about him and Kyle Shanahan is this. That zone blocking West Coast offense is designed for you to do one thing and one thing only. That's run that ball.
Yeah.
So why don't you run the ball when you are in these situations rather than trying to throw yourself out of a game? I don't know how Tua is going to react. Like I said it earlier, I think, like I said, you touch him and he's going to ball up like an ant. It's always very, very, I kind of cringe when I watch him play because because if you really look at that concussion that he had it really wasn't a hard hit. It really wasn't that hard hit by DeMar Hamlin. It really wasn't that suffocating, targeting play that you would think it is. So I have to go with, Miami because, like I said, they have these receivers. They have the offensive personnel. But what are you really doing with this team? What's the identity?
Yeah.
You have the West Coast zone blocking scheme, Mike McDaniel, and you basically went on the road and laid an egg. You got to the playoffs. And at this rate, Miami, you're not going to be able to play a lot of home playoff because if you really notice something about them Florida teams, you get them above that Mason-Dixon line, they gonna fold.
Yeah.
They going to fold. So you're not going to play a lot of home games. You're not going to be playing in Miami during January, February. So, hey, you got to get used to playing on the road. I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know how Tua is going to stack up. Yeah. If you ask me, they paid him way too early. Yep. They paid him way too early. And you can have all the receivers in the world that you want on a team. You can have Jerry Rice, Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, and T.O. on the same team. If you don't have the quarterback in order to get them the ball, then guess what? It's just a wasted year. So I think the most overrated team has to be Miami. And this is my hot take. If they don't go at least 10-6 and make the playoff this year, hey, in the great words of the late great notorious Biggie Smalls, put your head between your legs and kiss his tail goodbye, because I don't think you're gonna see Mike McDaniel in Miami no more.
Yeah, he got one more year. Him and Tua. If I had to pick an overrated team in the AFC just based on a lot of the offseason talk, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. I have a rule here. You don't pay skill players. I don't care how good they are. Sorry. They just paying skill players, or when they're the highest paid players on your team, rarely, and I'm talking about like very rarely, result in championships. A lot of these teams will pay these players after, and then you don't see them in the championship again. Not only did they do that, they did it twice. So now they got all their money tied up into Joe Burrow, a quarterback who you do pay, but then you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And that's great. But at some point, to start winning meaningful games, you need a strong defense, or at least a competitive defense. And that's where all these questions for me start for Cincinnati. Their defensive coordinator, like I don't know what they're doing with him, but they fired him. Like they should have fired him halfway through the season. Maybe they would have made it, and they replaced him with Al Golden, which whatever. But now they have this issue with Trey. Huh?
Al Golden still coaching after that terrible job he did at the U.
Yeah, apparently he's going to do a terrible job in Cincinnati. And then the other position that you're supposed to pay is pass rusher, but now they're in with beef with Trey Hendrickson. And then the first round pick, other pass rusher, who you, I guess, drafted to kind of replace him or pair with him, however that was going to work, hasn't even signed his contract because, there's like weird language that they're trying to protect the team and not him. And it just, I don't know how they're going to resolve any of these issues, but you have all these question marks on your defense, and you got your best player on defense at odds, not reporting to camp. And I'm still seeing that the Cincinnati Bengals are like high on the Vegas odds of AFC and Super Bowl contention. To me, it's very overrated. Don't be shocked if the Bengals season ended up a lot like it did last year. So we'll see what happens there.
They're the new Air Coryell, if you ask me. Remember the Air Coryell offense? They're the new Air Coryell. They're gonna light up. They're gonna punch the clock on offense, and they're gonna give up a lot of points
on defense. Yeah, hope they can outshoot people. I mean, that's what it is. If I had a underrated team in the AFC, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to say the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes.
I love Jim Harbaugh. It's year 2, but you added Najee Harris. Obviously, hopefully he didn't blow his fingers up too bad, but I like Justin Herbert. He does have a lot to prove, especially in the playoffs, but I'm not going to sit there and ignore his talent. They have a franchise quarterback, but they got Dion Henley. They got Jamari Caldwell, rookie Kyle Kennard. Like they addressed the things that were plaguing them last year. That's all you can ask for a team. They got it all figured out. You have the quarterback, and you have cornerstones on defense like Derwin James and things like that. You will be okay. And year 1 under Harbaugh, I think exceeded a lot of people, exceeded my expectations. I thought it would take them 2 or 3 years, but year 2, they didn't have that many holes to fill, and they seem to fill them. We'll see how they pan out, of course, but I think people are holding the Chargers, which is, I guess, fair, past to them. But don't be shocked if the Chargers, turn it on this season. That's why I got them as my underrated team in the AFC.
Yeah, and they got a Marion Hampton, from North Carolina. So even if Najee Harris is out, Marion Hampton is a big, fast back that can create some separation. So
J.K. Dobbins too, right? Didn't they sign him? Or
I don't know. I don't know that for sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think they signed. I think they got all 3 of them. But I know they did get a Marion Hampton from North Carolina, and he was a Heisman Trophy candidate last year. Up until like mid-season. But I agree with you on the Chargers situation.
No, he was on the chart. He's on the Broncos now. So I was mistaken. He was on there last year.
But I agree with you on the Chargers. Another team you might want to watch is their division rival, the Broncos.
Yeah.
I want to watch them too because the way that Sean Payton, for all his offensive genius in New Orleans, he didn't have a staggering defense until it was at the end of the line with Drew Brees.
Yeah.
That's when Cam Jordan and that defense came into their own. And unfortunately, they kind of got the Montreal screw job put to them when they played Los Angeles in that NFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have hurt me to my core to see them play on my home stadium up in the Mercedes-Benz in Mercedes-Benz Dome up here in Georgia. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge the truth, man. I'm not a biased journalist. It was a Montreal screw job up there. They were supposed to win that game. But he didn't get that stifling defense until it was the end of the line with Drew Brees. Now that he has that, now that he has the corners, he has the defense that he has, and he has the offense, and he has a quarterback that he trusts, and does not. And what I love about Bo Nix is he's not afraid. Whereas Russell Wilson, he kind of like shrunk from confrontation. I like the fact that, hey,
I like
he
Bo
took
Nix.
Drew Brees' advice. He said Sean Payton is very, very demanding. You have to demand just as much from him back. And Bo Nix followed his advice. So really keep an eye on the Denver Broncos this year. I think they can do some things. If it weren't for Jaden Daniels, having that superb season that he had last year, I think Bo Nix would have won. Bo Nix would have undoubtedly won the Rookie of the Year because he did a damn bang-up job.
And I mean, I think if he did win it, I don't think people would be going crazy. Like I think people would say something because I think statistically, Jaden Daniels probably did have the best rookie season we've seen. But if Bo Nix won it, it wouldn't have been like some robbery. You know what I mean? Like Bo Nix would have earned it. So that shout out to the Broncos. Overrated team in the NFC.
The Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
I don't have no faith in Kyler Murray. I think this is he got about, in the great words of Scarface, you only get a minute to pray and a second to die. And I think he about to die out there in Arizona, man. And I don't really think at this point, I'm surprised that the Steelers didn't take a chance to get him, or somebody didn't take a chance in order to get him, because I think his days are numbered.
Yeah.
And I think he has the most improved this year out of any quarterback, if you want me to be honest with you. Because look at what Cliff Kingsbury has done now that he has a cooperative quarterback.
Yeah. 100%. I'm shocked Cliff Kingsbury didn't get a head coaching job. I don't know if he wanted one, but I'm with you 100% there. If I had to go overrated NFC team, I'm going to say the Niners.
Ooh.
I think a lot to do with kind of like how the Bengals are. I think there's a lot of benefit of the doubt with the Niners, and they got a lot of question marks. Brandon Ayuk, losing Deebo Samuel, losing Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward. You're losing a lot of guys, and for some reason, people are just, Brock Purdy's still there, and and you got all this stuff, and then CMC, and coming off an injury. I hear y'all, but NFC is going to be tough, and I think people are giving the Niners a little bit too much love. Not to say that they're going to be bad. I wouldn't be shocked if they were decent, but to say that they're a top of like any type of NFC ranking is kind of silly to me. But I think people are overrating them a little bit because we simply don't. I think we've seen, to be fair I guess to be unfair to Brock Purdy, like we haven't really seen him take the team to the next level. He's a system quarterback, and until he proves otherwise, if the system has all these holes in it or people get injured like CMC, it derails the whole season. It's not a good thing, and you got to pay the guy. And it's like, I don't know. It's just the Niners have a lot of, George Kittle getting older, Ricky Purcell getting shot. Like you never know who's going to get shot at a card convention this year. Like who knows what's going on in San Francisco? So yeah, I would say San Francisco. As far as underrated NFC team, be shocked because I think this is going to be my NFC title game. One of the teams that is probably going to play the Eagles in the title game. Tampa Bay, I think, is being severely underrated. We are Team Bake Show on this show. I think Tampa Bay has all the makings to literally make a good run to the NFC title game. They got the weapons. They're going to have Chris Godwin back. Remember, people quickly forget how on fire Tampa Bay was until Godwin got hurt. Then Mike Evans got hurt, and they still made a little bit of a run there at the end when Mike Evans came back. They've gotten better. They've got their defense has gotten better. They drafted. They have everything. They have everything. Todd Bowles has done an excellent job. Baker Mayfield has gotten better and better every year he's been there. There's no reason for me to believe that he's going to regress. He has proven that he can be a franchise quarterback here in Tampa. Again, people need the right system. People need the right support system, right everything. I don't believe in, this guy sucked in this spot, he's going to suck in the next spot. No, it's a different culture. It's different coaches, different training staff. It's different everything, different air. I don't know what it is, but like I'm not going to hold it what somebody did in somewhere else in the next place. Baker's the perfect example of that, and he's found a home here. I think Tampa Bay, if they're all healthy, has everything you could pop. Bucky Urban at running, they have everything. They literally have everything. And so don't be shocked if they end up in the NFC title game versus like the Eagles or somebody like that.
I wouldn't be, because I wouldn't be surprised, and I got to face him twice a year. So Baker is that guy, and I'm pretty sure that Cleveland Browns wish they could have him back. And I don't blame him for his lack of success in Cleveland. People always say he was a bust in Cleveland. He led them to their first playoff win since Bernie Kosar. Since Vinny Testaverde. But I'm just going to be very, very honest with you. If you have 4 head coaches in 4 years, what are you going to do? It's kind of like changing bosses at work every other year. You know, if you got a boss that comes in every other year that you are at your job, how are you going to succeed? What is your development going to look like? You get used to doing this one way, and then now you have to adopt another way. I mean, you went from Hugh Jackson, which offensive-minded coach, offensive coordinator, good, but head coach, not necessarily. Then you have Freddie Kitchens. Then you finally get a good coach. Then that's when you get hurt. So, yeah, I don't blame that all on him doing his Cleveland tenure. And it was crazy that Cleveland wasn't smart enough to realize that. But, they wanted an adult in the room, quote unquote, and they went and got Mr. Marcus, and, the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to them. All right. What's the next one? Hotter head coaching seat, Kyle Shanahan or Sean McDermott?
I have to say Kyle Shanahan. Simply because you have, outside of my Atlanta Falcons, which I'm still holding that against you, by the way, Kyle. I will never forgive you for that Super Bowl. You have had the chance to close out 2 Super Bowls, and you didn't. Only thing you got to do is run the ball.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott, not so much. He doesn't have these offensive powerhouse weapons.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that offensive powerhouse weapons. And Josh Allen, I will say this. Josh Allen is the modern-day Dan Marino, except he's a hell of a lot more mobile and a hell of a lot more athletic. He does so much with so little. I mean, if you really look at it, throughout his career, Stephon Diggs was only his only true number 1 receiver. He never had a true number 2. When you look at a lot of teams around the league, some of the best quarterbacks in the league, when you look at Joe Burrow, when you look at Jalen Hurts, when you look at even Dak Prescott, when you look at a lot of these teams, they have 2 number 1 receivers on their team.
Yeah.
Josh Allen only had 1. And before that, I was very critical of Sean McDermott, because the thing is, before my Georgia Bulldog, James Cook, came into his own, I used to criticize Sean McDermott. You're going to get Josh Allen killed out here for running him like you do. Remember the year he lost the MVP to, I think it was the year before last year, he lost the MVP to Lamar Jackson. His usage rate on offense was the highest in the league. I think it was 85%.
Yeah. The stat was, I believe this past year, 80% of the team's production came from Josh Allen by himself. That's nuts. That's sick. That's the highest percentage in NFL history.
There you go. So I believe that Sean McDermott, he's going to win because he has Josh Allen. He has the modern day version of Dan Marino, except a hell of a lot more agile. With Kyle Shanahan, you've had these damn super teams.
Yeah.
You've had them every year. The thing is, the thing about that Super Bowl run that he had the year before last is he won every game when CMC touched the ball 20 times. Every time he touched the ball 20 times, they won the game, except for the Super Bowl. Why don't you run him rather than trying to pass it? You only needed a few yards in order to kick the field goal.
Sean McDermott.
Yeah,
I was going to say Sean McDermott's under more pressure because of Josh Allen. Like, you are wasting the best quarterback in the league in terms of physical talent, if not 1, 2, however you want to say it. Josh Allen's one of the greatest talents at quarterback we've ever seen. And the reason why the Bills are not winning is because of Sean McDermott. It's not because of Josh Allen. Every playoff loss, I think except for one, Josh Allen has left the field with the game with more points or the game tied. So the Bills were either winning or the game was tied when Josh Allen last touched the football. And because Sean McDermott, who's a defensive coach, continues to make blunders and gets out coached in the playoffs, it's the pressure. His seat is hot because the Bills are closer than the Niners are. The Bills have the superstar quarterback who has done literally everything for you. Sean McDermott doesn't get it done this year. The Bills need to fire him, period. Like, I don't care how nice he is. I don't care that he claps after every bad play to encourage his teammates. If he wants to be positive, go be a counselor for the team. I don't care what you do. But when it comes to winning time, he's proven time and time again, he can't get it. He can't get over the hump. So to me, the seat is hottest for Sean McDermott because he has Josh Allen. And the Bills can't waste, the NFL can't waste Josh Allen on another year of Sean McDermott not knowing situational football. So last one. More likely
another Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean, because we've already, like, how close do you want us to get? Like, you know what I mean? In some years, you're regressing. I can handle constant losses in the AFC title game. At least you're getting there. I can get the ball swings one way or the other. But it's like, first it's a second round, and then this AFC title game, or we don't make it there. Like, and again, I can handle losing. It matters to me how we lose. We're consistently losing because of your ineptitude as a coach, simply not knowing situational football. And it's like you're making first and second and third year mistakes, and you're going into year 9, year 8, however long it's been. It's like, enough. And at some point, you can't, the glass half full, you can't always, at some point, the glass half full becomes glass half empty. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you have to make that switch of, yeah, I know, like the 17-year drought, cool. That was mad long ago. That was 17 years. You know, now it's, okay, we have Josh Allen, we have a top 3 quarterback, and we have all this success. Maybe you're not the guy. Like, how many years are we going to wait until Josh Allen isn't as mobile? Maybe he gets enough. What if he blows his ACL out one of these years because he has to do so much? Like, what are we waiting for? And again, to me, if they don't make it this year, I would sincerely take a look at Sean McDermott as the future coach to get over the hump. Like, at some point, it just we can't keep doing the same song and dance. Like, oh man, we'll go get him next year. Well, how many times do you want to say that? We've said it almost the last 4 years. We've been saying it. It's like, it's enough. So, more likely to reach the Super Bowl again this year, the Chiefs or the Eagles?
The Eagles.
Yeah, I agree.
I got to say the Eagles. I think the Chiefs lost half their offensive line.
Yeah.
They lost half their offensive line. I mean, you saw the flaws in their game, and then you don't know how the team is going to respond to Rashee Rice being suspended, however long he's going to be suspended. And it's just a lot of flaws going. And I think that Philadelphia is prepared to run it back. I think, don't be surprised if you get an MVP caliber year for Jalen Hurts, man. Don't be surprised, because I'm pretty sure as stoic as he is, as more Warren Moon-esque as he is, as far as his stoicism, you can best believe he's hearing the outside noise. Yeah. And for better or for worse, he's one of the most criticized quarterbacks in modern day history. I mean, if you ask me, they've criticized him more than they did Troy Aikman, if you ask me, because they often say, well, if it wasn't for this, and that, Troy wouldn't have won. And they're saying the same thing about Jalen Hurts. So don't be surprised, especially if he's fully healthy this year. that they unleash him. They say, go out there. Just let's let it go. And let's see if we can get you the MVP this year. I think that'll silence a lot of people.
100%, because a lot of the flack that I've been getting on social media, I guess my overarching, without really regurgitating a lot of it, is when it comes to guys like Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes or specifically Josh Allen, they are the system, and Jalen Hurts is just part of the system. You know what I mean? Like he had one 300-yard game this season. He hasn't had a 4,000-yard game yet. Like when you start stacking these elite talents up, and there's nothing wrong with being part of the system. My issue was that fans were trying to catapult him above those guys simply because he won a Super Bowl. And I'm like, okay, well, so what's the math here? Does winning one Super Bowl automatically make you elite? If that's the case, then why isn't Trent Dilfer elite? Why isn't Brad Johnson elite? Why isn't a lot of these, you wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say Eli Manning is better than Drew Brees because he's won more Super Bowls. Like, it's just that math doesn't work. Now, this season, it was all Saquon Barkley. Yes, the AFC, the NFC title game and the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts did what he was supposed to do because the teams took the focus away from him and put it on Saquon, and he was able to kind of make him pay for it. I didn't say he was bad. I just said he's more of a system guy than any of the other quarterbacks we're trying to compare him to. Now, to your point, if all of a sudden he starts bombing and he's the reason why the team is winning specifically, I'm with you. We just sat there and said Josh Allen statistically is responsible for 87% of his team's success. Yeah. Jalen Hurts isn't close to that. Like that's my overarching point. To be part of a system isn't the problem. It's just the fans want him to be more than what he is. And if he goes out and wins MVP because he's putting up the same type of stats or doing the things that Josh Allen is responsible for doing, fucking Josh Allen caught a ball, ran in and threw a ball in the same game. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not saying you have to do all that. I'm just saying, like, there's levels to it. If you watch Josh Allen play and how the Bills win, what I'm saying is Jalen Hurts couldn't take that Bills team to the AFC title game. And if somebody tells me that they think he can, they're lying. It's not true. It's not true at all. Jalen Hurts hasn't shown you anything to that level. He is shown to be good. He is not shown to be that. Not what Lamar is, not what Patty is, not what Josh has been. The closest comp is Joe Burrow. And I mean, even then, like, are you gonna sit there and tell me he's better than, or Joe Burrow's, or he's better than Joe Burrow? Come on now, like let's be for real.
At the same time, he has been an MVP candidate before. Mm-hmm. He has been an All-Pro. But the thing is, I've said this on everybody's pod that I've ever been on, and I hate to regurgitate the same information. We've seen these guys with the same caliber of players around them, and they didn't win. Yeah, Lamar Jackson had this is by far the greatest Ravens roster that I have ever seen, and that includes the Ray Lewis team. Mm-hmm. They haven't won anything. If you
now, is that a quarter? Is that do you look at that and say? Because I hear a lot of that. I hear who's a better winner, who's a winning. What did he play defense too?
That's what you get criticized as a quarterback.
Nah, winning is a team stat. People who say this guy has won more or this quarterback has outplayed this other quarterback, I look at them like, what are you? Jalen Hurts plays defense all of a sudden. Quarterbacks don't play each other. There's no outplaying. He didn't outplay him because if any, Jalen Hurts outplayed the Chiefs defense, sure. Has nothing. What Jalen Hurts does on the field, me and you, I'm a better free throw shooter than you.
Yeah, you are.
Not by much. right. But let's say not by much. Let's scale it. Like first off, let's agree on this. Talent-wise, Josh Allen is more talented than Jalen Hurts. Can we say that? Okay. So I'm more talented than you at shooting jump shots or three-pointers, right?
Yeah.
I have Manute Bol standing in front of me, and you have Muggsy Bogues standing in front of you. Who's going to make more three-pointers generally? You are. Yeah. Because you have but did you outplay me? No. We had different circumstances. This notion that quarterbacks outplay each other. Oh, he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice in the Super Bowl. What the fuck does that have to do? What does Jalen Hurts playing against the Chiefs defense have to do with whatever Patrick Mahomes did? Nothing. Literally nothing. Joe Burrow has proved that you could be the best. Joe Burrow had 5,000 passing yards. As a quarterback, probably a better season than even Josh Allen in terms of the problem is they didn't win, so they could hold it up against him. Is that Joe Burrow's fault? Would you look at anything the Bengals did this past season and say, man, if Joe Burrow threw for 6,000 yards, like nothing, it doesn't matter how good a quarterback plays if the defense is bad. It doesn't matter if Jalen Hurts, quote unquote, outplayed Patrick. That has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes. Quarterbacks can't outplay each other because they don't play each other, period. So this notion, and then winning, that goes to the winning argument. What do you mean he wins more? No, he's just on a better team. The Eagles roster, they have top 5 everything. They have top 5 coach, top 5 running back, top 5 offensive line. That was the same thing a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. They literally had top 5 elite everything except running back. So what happened to Jalen then? They had to go get Saquon to win. Jalen wasn't good enough because the system didn't allow for that. They tried to make it through Jalen, and they couldn't do it because he's not on that level. You're going to tell me that Joe Burrow or Lamar or Patrick or Josh couldn't win with this Eagles roster? Come on now. Like let's be respectful without being delusional.
Yeah.
When this whole thing started, if you remember, I said Jalen Hurts, my main point was that winning the Super Bowl wouldn't change where Jalen Hurts ranks among all the quarterbacks. I said he's somewhere in the 8 to 12 range, if we were being honest. ESPN has him at 6. These other places have him a little higher. Some places have him a little lower. But he's right where I said he would be. He didn't. But the Eagles fans want him to be the second best quarterback in the league, or the first because he beat Patrick Mahomes. He didn't beat Patrick Mahomes. He beat the Chiefs defense. That's how he won the Super Bowl. Like it's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous. I don't understand why people keep making it. It's unbelievable.
At the same time, if they look, what the thing is this. We criticized Peyton for years because he had a stacked roster and didn't win, right? We're criticizing Lamar because he has a stacked roster and doesn't win, right?
Right.
We don't criticize Joe Burrow as much because you can't stop the Chiefs defense. I mean, the Cincinnati offense, the defense couldn't stop me running, and I'm several years removed from my boxing years. So they can't stop me from getting 100 yards. And I know if they can't stop me getting 100 yards, I know they can't stop Derrick Henry. But when you criticize these players for having these stacked rosters and not getting it done, and the criticism is very, very loud, shouldn't the winning be just as loud as well? Because if he wasn't winning, we would be criticizing the hell out of him and holding him to that top 10 standard that we say that he's not at this point. We would be holding him to it, just like we hold Lamar, just like we hold Joe Burrow, just like we hold Allen, and just like we hold Patrick Mahomes. Guess what? These stacked rosters, it's not my fault. It's an old argument that I made. It's not my fault that my parents raised me right. And I had a head start on the world.
Right.
It's not my fault that the Georgia Bulldogs came into their own and Kirby Smart went on this run that was legendary and dethroned the Alabama Crimson Tide just in time, right before Nick Saban retired, and won a championship and brought me these players. It's not my fault that happened. Mom and dad raised me right. So guess what? It's not my fault that I went out there into the world and succeeded. So guess what? If we're going to sit around and criticize these quarterbacks for not winning because we flame Lamar Jackson's ass, we flamed his ass up like a hot human in July when he didn't win last year, when he had a historic defense. That defense that he had last year had a historic defense. They had 75 sacks. They broke the Chicago Bears record that they set back in 1986. We flamed his ass up for not winning when it was time, and they didn't score a point in the second half. We flamed his ass up again this year because the team was even better than it was last year. You had a historically great defense, and you had a historically great offense, and you did the same thing that the Philadelphia Eagles did. You were mirror images of each other. You did the same thing. You went and got a Hall of Fame caliber running back, a guy that was even better than Saquon, if you depending on who you asked, and you still couldn't get it done. You had 15 Pro Bowlers on your team. So with the same, see, if we're going to sit around here and flame people's ass up for making an F on the spelling test, then let's give them the same credit for making all A's on the report card. If we're going to flame these players up for having these stacked rosters and not winning, let's show the same respect for these players who are getting it done. Jalen Hurts has been an MVP candidate. He was an MVP candidate when he went to the Super Bowl the first time. He had a regress year because the offensive coordinator wasn't about anything last year. This year, he was a little bit hurt. And guess what? It takes that presence of mind. It takes that general in order to say, okay, do you think Dan Marino would have passed up the fact that if Eric Dickerson would have came to his team, even though he was an MVP candidate, and say, hey, if you want me to step back from passing and running the ball and get his big summer gun 300 carries a season and let me step back from being an MVP candidate, you think that Dan Marino wouldn't have did that? Of course he would have. But the thing is, we flame these players up for not getting it done when they have stacked teams. But at the same time, not saying you, but I'm talking about mainstream media. They want to take Jalen Hurts and, put him in, well, you have a stacked roster. Peyton Manning had a stacked roster for years. Hell, remember when he went from one team that was good in Indianapolis and went to a team that was better. You had the no-fly zone defense, and you had a historically great that offense that he had out there with them was even better than the Indianapolis Colts, and he got blown out in the Super Bowl. In fact, they didn't win until he was on his last leg. So guess what? If we're going to sit around here and flame players up for having stacked rosters and not winning, let's show that same respect to the players who are winning. We've seen what Jalen Hurts can do. We've seen that he can do things. And guess what? You having a good offensive line, you having good defense, guess what? It takes that general in order to lead you to that next level. A general. And he's been doing it for years. Remember, he wasn't even supposed to be the starting quarterback when he first got drafted. He was supposed to be Carson.
Yeah.
So for him to come into there, be the underdog, get paid, and guess what? His stoicism, the way he carries himself. I mean, like I said, he hears the noise. But the thing is, if I have to take a backseat ride as a general, knowing that I'm an MVP candidate, knowing that I'm an all-pro, knowing that I can put up stats, hell, he just didn't start putting up stats. He was a Heisman candidate back when he was in Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley in the air raid. And if you look at the progress that he made from Alabama, from what people say, well, he was a game manager, to the progress that he made when he was with Lincoln Riley, he's very damn capable of passing for 4,000 yards, for putting up those kind of numbers. But if I have to take a step back in order to give a main piece of my Super Bowl puzzle, that being Saquon Barkley, his chance to shine in order to win, guess what? I'm going to do that as a general. And I think that puts him in certain conversations that we need to recognize.
Fair enough. Let's finish up with fair or foul. This is a rapid fire question and answer. I'll read a statement. You tell me if it's fair or foul, and then a quick explanation. All right. First one up. Fair or foul? Shane Gillis was funny at the ESPYs.
It's fair. It's fair. Someone I'm still laughing about it because, people wanted me to talk about it on social media, but it was fair, man. Look, some stuff, comedy's offensive.
Yeah.
Comedy has always been offensive. It's going to be offensive even after I'm laying in the ground 6 feet under and the Lord calls me home. Comedy is made to be offensive. I mean, it's going to offend some people. I mean, if you don't believe that, look at Richard Pryor. Sunset in San Francisco, him telling this guy in the audience to sit his ass down, and had the whole audience laughing at him. D.L. Hughley used to literally roast people inside the audience about certain things. So comedy is going to be offensive. I know we live in a day and age where people blow it out of proportion, but in reality, it's all jokes. I mean, if you don't believe that it's all about jokes when it comes to the ESPYs, then look at the OJ joke that the guy made when Charles Woodson won the Heisman. They said, well, you can never take the Heisman away from you unless, of course, you butcher a bunch of people. But, it's supposed to, comedy is going to be offensive. It mimics life.
Yeah. Good comedy's rooted in truth. So that's true. I mean, to me, the mark of a great comedian is the ability to go into like a packed room of rich, entitled people and make fun of them all and not care, not give a shit if anybody in the room's offended. And that's exactly what Shane Gillis did. So shout out to him. I mean, I thought it was great. So, I mean, it was funny. Like when he had his friend's wife and he made everybody think that shit, he's like, yeah, I knew you didn't know any WNBA players. Like, that's funny, dog. Like, I don't care. The Epstein joke, like all of it's just funny. So shout out to Shane Gillis. Fair or foul? Dame Lillard returning to Portland is sad.
No, it's just they thanked him with a contract because Portland is a basketball town. Unfortunately, they couldn't get him what he needed after LaMarcus Aldridge left. And after CJ McCollum left, they couldn't get him what he needed. So if anybody understood why he left, it's them, and that's why they rewarding him. Although they know he's not going to see the court for at least 1.5 years. They're giving him a big old contract anyway and say thank you for what you did. Without Dame Lillard in these last like 15 years, we wouldn't even be watching Portland, and they recognize that.
It's fair. It is sad. Dame was never held accountable and deserves this sad ending to an underwhelming career. He demanded a trade. He left for a championship. He couldn't do it with Giannis because he isn't who he thought he was. And now he's back groveling to the one franchise that's probably going to pay him anything resulting in big money because he was about to start getting role player money. And yeah, he's going to be recovering from an injury. Like, you brought this upon yourself. You could have just stayed in Portland for all that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you wanted to go ring chase, realized it wasn't going to happen, and now you're going back to the ex-girlfriend. That's what happens. You've been married for a long time. You and your wife get into that fight. You go to the bar. You meet Cinnamon with an S. You think you love her. It turned out that she just wants your money, so now you go back to your wife that you left. This is what happened. This is the exact play.
Not Cinnamon with the S.
Yeah. Fair or foul? Donnie T's trying to make it happen. Washington should go back to the Redskins.
That's a touchy subject, but let's go ahead and get it. Look, if the fans want it, give it to them. No. It will depend on the fans. People, there's the family of the previous spokesperson of the Washington Commanders, the Blackfeet Chief. His family has come out and said that they want the mascot back so he can bring light to his legacy and his family's legacy and the tribal legacy. Mm-hmm. So if enough people agree to it, go ahead. Let them go ahead and rename it. And I think it'll be good for the legacy. But if a lot of fans are saying, hell no, then don't bring it back. I mean, don't put any more pressure. Leave it up to the fans, I will say. Leave it up to the fans.
The pulse that I get is that a lot of the fans do want the Redskins name back. And I remember when this whole thing started, it was a very small group of people that made the noise. It's just they happened to know the right people, and it became a thing. And I remember the family of Chief John. I think it's like Two Guns, whatever, the Blackfeet tribe.
Yeah, Blackfeet Chief, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I know its name's John, but it's like 2 guns, 1 arrow, something to that, white feather, something. Anyway, he's the one whose likeness that's on the helmet. And they said, well, we really don't care. Not that we don't care. Nah, don't change the name. And if you are going to change the name, that's cool, but don't change the logo because, like you said, it brings awareness to us. It helps us out. And they went ahead. To me, it was a big FU double middle fingers, last double middle fingers from Dan Snyder, who knew he was going to get pushed out for all his little, all his crazy, creepy shit that he was doing. But, the Commander, listen, man, it sucks. Like, the Commander's name sucks. It sucks. The Redskins are a legacy football team. Like, that's like the Red Sox changing their name. You know what I mean? It's like the Yankees changing their name. It's like the Redskins are just a legacy team. It can't, like, I hear you, but if it doesn't offend the people that you say it's supposed to offend, then what the hell? Like, it just, like, it's football. We're talking about football here. Nobody thought about that until y'all said some shit. And again, it's different. It's not there. People are like, well, what if they were called the Blackskins? Well, it's not. It's different. It's sorry. It's just a different thing. And like you said, if the fans are cool, specifically, and I give a fuck about the fans. Fuck the fans. If the people who is directly involved, which are the members of the Blackfeet tribe, are cool with it, that should be enough. If you don't like it, go be a fan of a different team. You're right on 95. You got the Eagles right there. Go down to Baltimore. You can pick a different. There's plenty of teams on that Northeast region that you can choose from that are within driving distance from you. There's like 4 of them. So if you don't like it, then go root for a different team. But yeah, it's the whole situation got blown up, and it sucks that it's ruined one of the traditional franchises in the NFL. Fair or foul? The Rockets are now the biggest threat to the Thunder in the West.
That's foul. I don't see it. And the thing is, Jokic is still there. Have we forgotten about that?
Yeah,
Jokic is still there. Now, for people who are going to talk about my Los Angeles Lakers, I don't really see them doing anything right about now because, let's just be real. I'm going to just be all the way 100. We're like the fucking Cowboys.
The Lakers, LeBron's there.
We're like the fucking Cow. Even when LeBron wasn't there, We're like the fucking Cowboys. It's always, we're going to do this year. You're going to do this year.
Yeah.
It's just like this. Like we always, like my dad always say, man, what I'm going to do ain't never did a damn thing. So people are going to talk about, well, what about, no. You still have, look, Jokic is still out there.
Yeah.
Jokic is still out there. Dallas is pretty good. You have a lot of teams out there in the West. And look, I think they have a damn good chance to repeat at this point.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why, one of the main reasons why Jokic and company did not make it is because they fired their damn coach.
Yeah.
Right as they were making a playoff push.
Terrible.
So, I mean, not to mention the Memphis Grizzlies, their coach got fired right before they was making a playoff push. So coaches got fired near the end of the damn season. So we're not going to take that into account. Jokic is arguably arguably the best player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Had it not been for his team, up and down throughout the season, he would have won the third one.
Yeah,
I think it's his fourth one. Excuse me.
Fourth one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to stop acting. We got to stop acting. I know we see the internet, and I know we're on live stream right about now, not on VCRs anymore. I know VCRs are dead, but we have to look past what we see right about now and rewind the tape, because before everything started happening, that it was SGA and Jokic. So we got to stop pretending like adding Kevin Durant is just going to put them over the top. He didn't put his last two teams over the top. He hasn't won without Steph Curry and that star-studded team in Golden State, not yet. And he's created super teams of his own, not once, not twice, but twice. He's tried to recreate it. So the only thing that gives me faith in this team is that head coach, Ime Udoka. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. Sorry about that. I'm not. But other than that, we still got Jokic in that. It's Jokic and it's SGA in that conference.
Yeah, we'll see. I like the Rockets. It's hard to gauge where everybody's at. I'm just a big Kevin Durant fan. I think you've watched him the last couple of years, you would think that he's regressed, but when you look at his numbers, no, he's actually still pretty damn good. And he hasn't regressed at all. So, and you add him to that Rockets core with a lot of the other stuff they've added and subtracted, because I do believe in addition by subtraction, and I think you could make a pretty good. The only other team that I would kind of say, and I know people are going to laugh, is the Clippers. Like I get that they're the LAARP Clippers now, but something is to say for experience, adding Bradley Beal and a guy like Chris Paul and things like that. And if you get Kawhi healthy, who's missed half the season last year, who's going to be healthy to start the season, I think that's going to be a different Clippers team, and they still were making noise regardless. So we'll see how. It's just hard when you throw a bunch of super talented guys together in the NBA. Rarely it doesn't work out, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to skip this last one because I don't care about the Orlando Magic. Here's the most important one. Getting caught cheating at a Coldplay concert is the worst way to go. Fair or foul?
Oh, shit. Oh, look. Hey, like a lad said, you're only in trouble if you get caught. But
getting put on that Summer Jam screen is wild at Coldplay. What are the odds, right? Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people are there, and that camera panned to you, and not only panned to you, getting caught in that type of PDA intimate moment. The odds are like God wanted you to get caught. Like you were supposed to.
Just about to say that God wrath was after that ass.
Yeah, you did something, dog. I don't know what you did. You cooked the books. You done did something. You skipped your kid's recital. You did something bad because God was like, nope. Put the spotlight right on getting exposed in front of 50,000 people, and then now it's on the internet. And not only is it on the internet, it's like a meme. I'm talking. It's unified. The Sunnis and the Shiites, Democrats, Republicans, black and white, Crips and Bloods, all of us are united in shitting on you for being such a monumental jackass. Like nobody likes a cheater. Nobody likes a cheater who's gotten caught. And then they're both cheaters. And it's fucked up. We keep talking about the guy's wife getting a lot of the money, but nobody's talking about because the woman was married too. So the husband, like, shout out to him. He's going to get half too. Fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? So I want to shout out to him. Shout out to Mr. HR, whoever he is out there. I'm glad. And it sucks. I think the husband of the HR lady and then the wife of the CEO should get together now. That's once the settlement is contained, and everything is divvied out however it's supposed to, them two should now just get together and just bond over this. That's what I think.
You talk about the ultimate shit in the face.
That'd be great. Hey, y'all go ahead and go to y'all Coldplay concerts together. We're gonna be together spending all y'all money. That would be the ultimate. That's what I'll
be burning $20 bills and shit.
Yep. right in the driveway. Like, here you go. Let me wipe this shit up. Get out of here. Champ, man, this was real fun, bro. Like, we went an hour and a half. That's probably one of the longest shows I've done, but time flew. So I appreciate you coming on with me and everybody. We may or may not be back with you next week with Bert. We'll see what's going on. If not, I'm sure we'll figure it out. But Champ, thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, share. If you don't do any of those things, I'm just going to be inclined to think you're a hater. But please try to do that. Follow my guy. What is it? @WorldsChamp 2.0 on Instagram. Yes, sir. Follow my guy. And until then, we will talk to you guys next week.